You think you're imposing?
Yeah, that's what she faces.
This is October 25, 1974,
What she does.
and we're in Silvey Mulkey's home in Marietta, and we're talking to Silvey and Aunt May, and we have Nellie as well, who's filled out a few of these, haven't we? Now, I found these things, and we were talking about Katie's things. I may have some more here. You said Lewis got out of the Air Force after 20 years.
Yeah.
He was here in Cobb County. And then James was the youngest. Where is he?
He was wrong.
Rome, Georgia. Now these boys would be Oscar Matthews, A.B. Matthews' boys.
Yeah, that's right.
Now Oscar Matthews was from Cassville.
He was one of the kindest men I ever saw in life.
He split his father's farm with his brother Grover. I've got down here. It was Grover Matthews, huh?
Yeah. And when
Then he later lost his farm.
When Uncle Oscar died, wasn't long before Grover died, was it?
No, it wasn't. Grover, old man Matthews, was almost rich, and he died like Oscar was so good-hearted that everybody come along. Why, if they wanted money or anything, he'd let them have it. So he just broke. Then he loaned his brother Tinker a lot of money and
She was
just broke
speaking
them up.
about how Oscar went.
Yeah.
Now I've got down more on Mattie since you gave me some things. Mattie, you told me, was an Atco cotton mill worker later. She married Charles Griffin. Now, is it true he ran off with another woman?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I have that down here. Did Mattie have a very nice disposition?
The sweetest girl, she's the
That's
sweetest
what
one of the
people
whole
say.
Bud West family.
Except Aunt May.
No, she was better than me.
Now, when did she die? Because I don't have that. This year? Or?
No, she's
Oh,
been there
no.
a long, long time.
That's 20 or 20.
All right, after Charles Griffin, she married Jess Shepherd
Yeah.
and was separated from him.
He was neither turn and
But I
charge.
remember she was living
She
with
had a
when
bad
she
breaking life, huh?
She sure did.
She was living with her when she died, though.
They lived near Cartersville, farmed after Mattie sold until the Cartersville farm. Grandma West stayed with her. Is that right?
More like Aunt Mattie stayed with her.
United States was right my
Dad
way.
stayed with Grandma, but
Okay.
Grandma died at
Grandma.
night. Yeah.
Okay, so let me get that story straight. It was more that Mattie was staying at the Cartersville farm. That was your father's farm?
No, no.
Another little place. And
Yeah.
she stayed with Grandma West, right?
Till about 2 or 3 months before Mama died, and I had to leave my home and go stay with her. Mama got so bad. And this problem just come down there one day and said, "Maybe we're just gonna have to move your mama up there."
Okay.
So they moved into my house, and she died at my house.
Was your mother's, was she in painful death, or was it a peaceful one?
No,
Or?
it was a very peaceful death.
Right.
She just died away. Just
Wasted away, sort of.
just wasted away. She was real old.
Okay. Now, after Mattie, I've been over some of this, is why I say it's repetitious if I find that sheet where you gave it all to me. Because I couldn't find it earlier, this one. Miles was next in line, and I think, but I'm not sure, we got the same list of children of Miles.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute, this doesn't look like the same list that we just did. That's why I'm mad at not
You
having this.
remember Eileen, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I sure like
Aline was the oldest, huh?
Yeah.
She came up to see Mama and I.
A-L-E-N-E.
Thought the world.
That's Miles's oldest.
Yeah, that Miles was oldest child.
Did Miles die relatively young?
Pretty young, yeah.
And why does it say, oh, he had a farm near Reseca?
Yeah.
He owned the farm near
Okay.
Reseca. And then he worked
Okay.
in Reseca Cotton Mill. I mean, in Calhoun Cotton.
He was
He was about
somewhat
the size of Daddy, wasn't
a little taller. I have down here or not?
He probably was a little taller.
He occasionally had a mustache, is that right?
I never did see
No, I
her
never
one.
did.
No, not
The
Uncle
mustache,
Miles.
you know.
Uncle, Daddy had a mustache.
Okay.
But I never did see.
Now, Aileen was his first, well, let's see who he married. Ruth Wilson, huh?
That's who.
Aileen was his, and is she still around,
Oh,
Rosaka?
yeah. She's
Yeah.
here.
Who did she marry?
She married Norris.
What?
Let's see. She married a Holcomb.
What Holcomb?
Norris was his name. Norris Holcomb. They were not related to the Holcomb.
All right. This was Miles West's daughter, Aileen. And Mary was the next daughter?
No, Dorothy.
Dorothy, yeah. Remember?
Dorothy was next in line?
Yeah.
Oh, I got this wrong, okay. Did Dorothy marry?
She married David. She is,
Davis?
Where is it, Dorothy? That's Silvey in
Arizona.
Arizona.
They're in-
Where in there?
Dorothy's in Arizona?
Yeah. It's Dorothy she married.
You know where in
No,
Arizona?
I don't.
Tucson, Phoenix?
I used to write
I live in Phoenix.
Phoenix. Yeah, I used to
Phoenix.
write to her. She's
Okay.
in Phoenix.
She married a Davis, and you don't know what Davis.
I don't.
Judge,
She's a
Judge is
Judge
right.
Davis, yeah.
Judge Davis.
Judge Davis.
Where was he from?
He's right in Cobb County above Kennesaw.
Okay. Then was Mary next in line?
I don't know which
And
one.
Betty?
Yeah,
Are those
yeah,
the
Mary
four?
was married.
Did Mary marry?
Yeah,
Yeah, she married.
You know who? Of Miles?
I know.
She married Johnson,
Johnson.
but she don't have no
All right.
husband now. I reckon he died. I know.
How about Betty?
Well, Betty's
Betty's married.
married, and she married.
They're married twice.
Who was it she married?
I don't know who she married.
They used to
I know the
talk about
name,
her.
either one of them.
I don't remember the name. Evans. She married Evans. Betty did. That's who she lived with now.
And Evans?
Uh-huh.
You don't know what Evans?
No, I don't.
Does she live near here?
Well, she lives up near Calhoun.
Near Calhoun. How about Mary, who married a Johnson?
She lives in Calhoun.
Are they in the mills, or, you
They
know?
don't, either one of them like it.
Okay.
Sylvia, you know what the Dorothy's husband does in Arizona?
So I know.
If we ever get back down there, I'm gonna try to
Phoenix is
find
a
her.
lot. You're not going to find it. If Judge Davis, maybe, you might have a lead on. All right.
Well, Dorothy took some kind of a disease, and she was about to die, and they sent her away off to, it was a rest home or something, and she didn't want to even go back home. So she stayed upstate with the judge and the children. She liked it down there. They said she was still staying. And they was treating her, giving her some kind of treatment.
Did she work in the cotton mill?
Now,
Yes, I think she
let me ask you these facts. Oliver Southern was your grandfather?
That is right.
He was an unusual man. Did you know him?
Yeah.
What did he
I
look
can
like?
remember when I was a little bitty girl and coming down asking me just beginning to lose his mind, and Mama got him in the bed, and he'd call Nancy, his wife, and
That was the second wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucinda Ward was the third.
yeah, and Mama went and gave him a pair of shoes to put in bed with him, and he just hugged them up. I remember that. I remember.
You remember that? He was losing his mind.
He was losing his mind. He'd hug him.
How old were you when you think you
Oh, I
were?
wasn't no 3 years old, because I don't guess, because I just barely came in.
He was born perhaps in Dawson County. He was a Republican. He was a somewhat secretive man. He was a Union veteran, not a Confederate veteran of the Civil War. And he was beardless and no mustache, but he had long hair which covered his ears. Do you remember any of that?
Yes, I remember his long hair, but
He was a
I
tall
think he was a
man.
Democrat. My mom was always such a strong Democrat. He said he was a Republican.
Yeah, this is what, and he's one of the few Union veterans. He and
Yeah,
Robert
yeah.
Evans. You see that they fought with Lincoln in the Union Army.
He never been.
The county was split, you know, and some
Yeah.
voted, some fought one way and some the other. You thought he might be a Democrat.
I thought it because
I'll put a
my
question.
mama was such a strong Democrat, and my dad.
Yeah.
but he may have to.
And my dad.
Yes, well.
He's called publicly sick tail.
Yep, slick tail. Well, you know, that's proven true still.
Yeah,
Right.
now, he farmed at the edge of Gilmer County. He died about 1910 or 12, and in Ebenezer he has a tall tombstone. I should have
He
looked
sure
that up.
has got a tall tombstone.
You remember that?
It's one of the tallest.
I remember going to his house, he had a big slave bed.
Let me see what you think about this story.
Okay.
Tell me what you think. These are legends. You don't know whether they're true or not.
I've
you know.
heard it because
When his daughter Mary Ann married, it was said that her apron was laid out on the floor the day before and covered with gold coins.
no, it wasn't when she married. When he just began to lose his mind, why Aunt Claire called Mama, or wrote Mama a letter, so she just had to come and help her with Grandpa. We always call him Grandpa. So we did, and Aunt Claire, while Mama was there, wanted to visit around some, and she left that Mama there with Grandpa. And he said, Annie, he told her, said, I want to show you something. Said, you just go in the other room and don't come in here till I call you. And that was after I was born. And it wasn't him. So Mama went on in the other room, fiddled around. Everybody said, come on back, Annie. And he was just beginning to lose his mind. Mama went in there and said, now, Annie, look down there on the floor. And she looked, and there lay a solid, he laid her pull off her apron before she went. And there, that solid big apron, that whole big apron was covered in gold. It was, he covered it up.
Who told you this story?
My mama.
The least piece for the $5 gold
The
piece.
least piece was $5.
Right. Now, the first story I told you I heard, I didn't hear the one you just told, and I appreciate your telling it. Then they tell 2 more stories that bear out what you just said. He buried gold in his garden. In his later life, he was a little bit senile, and he would move it, and he could not always remember where. He apparently moved it about. He kept the gold, and there was not a silver coin in it, in a 1-gallon iron pot. He didn't like banks, he didn't trust them, and he kept the iron pot full of gold, which he hoarded, gold pieces. Did you ever hear any of that?
He told Mama when he went there, Aunt Claire had gone somewhere, and he told Mama, said, Annie, pull off your big apron. Mama pulled it off, and he just got down on his knees on the floor and covered that apron with gold pieces. And he said, now, Annie, he said, you see...
He called your mama Annie?
Annie, that was her name. He said, when I die, I hope I can leave every business to all my children. Mama said there wasn't a thing in there less than $5 gold piece, and all the rest of them was more than that. And so, that's why Grandpa went crazy. He went off then one day and hid that gold, and he never did find it. And so Aunt Claire wrote.
Right, he hid it at a garden for a while.
Yeah, for a while.
And it was due what it was for a
And
while.
he moved it. And so Aunt Claire called Mama and told her she wanted to come and help her with Grandpa.
Because you all had left by then.
Yeah.
And Claire was still up there? Is that
Aunt
right?
Claire was still living. She hadn't married him. So Mama went, and that's when he laid that gold down when Larry went off. He covered that apron in gold, and he said, now he said, none of my children won't want for nothing when I die. But he took that gold off and hid it, and they thought he had buried it in the garden. But when he went plumb crazy then, why he'd go way off in the woods, they had to watch him. He'd look like he was hunting his horses. And so Mama was up there, but she had to call my daddy. He got lost and in the woods and hunting his horses.
But by then you had left Gilmer County, but they would return to this?
Oh,
No, that's before. This was 1910. You hadn't left yet.
He never did find it.
And so, no, my mama went up there and he said, Annie, I've got my gold hidden. I've got it hidden. He covered it, well, that's after he covered his apron. He never did find that gold. But he would go out and go up in the woods and just come back all scratched, all to pieces. He had took it and hid it. He had hid it somewhere in the woods and they never did find it.
When did, I
Never
remember.
did find.
So you think that it's not just a legend, this is a lot, enough people were around
It's
it.
a
That's
truth.
so.
He cut that soul.
See, he probably, if he was a Union veteran, he and Bob Evans were getting payments every month, so that there was reasons they might have had money more than the other people, you know.
He covered that apron. Mama wore big band. He covered it with that.
After several, while we lived up here on Cherokee Street, they had, but Daddy had a safe there where he run a store. He kept every several dollars he get, he put in that fruit jar. So one of his cousins comes down from Gilbert County and Boy, got my door, I would give my daddy a $20 bill. He opened the safe to get the change for his bag soda cut for $10. And that half-gallon fruit jar was set there full of several dollars. And 3 was these big old paper dollar bills, and Daddy found it was in there. He said, Charlie, what is that? He said, that's several dollars. He showed it to his wife and his wife's boy. He rolled it over and over and looked at it, put it back in there. So they went over and later come back by. That Saturday night, Raymond went out to deliver some groceries, come back with several dollars, and give it to my daddy, went and put it in that fruit jar, and it was gone. So Silvey come and told us to go to this fortune teller, told the grand over here in Atlanta. And he'd tell you right where that money is. And she didn't tell you right where, so we went, and she told me about it, tell you them in. All about it. My mother, we made several trips on her. My mother said, ask her if she'd tell anything about this gold bid again. Now this is a nigger woman, Toby Grant, her name. And she never had been in Gilbert County. I asked her if she'd tell where anybody hid money, gold or anything like that. I said, my mother's grandfather had a whole lot of gold. He went crazy, took it off, hid it. He never could find it. She said, I most certainly can. She said, this dear old soul, he left the house, he come across the road, down by bars, come to a apple orchard, down to a creek. And then he turned, he comes back up through this apple orchard, across this road, back up on a big mountain. She pointed back up on a big mountain. Said, now this gold ain't big straight down, and it's under a rock or something, back it under something. And it's not very straight down, back it under something. And that's exactly the way that place was. House on one side of the road, barn over the
You
other
can
house.
picture it that way. And you can picture it where it
Just took his
was.
money off
Yeah.
and never could find it.
Yeah.
That's just exactly the way the place was. Now, she didn't know a thing about that place.
Well, how did the money get out of the safe?
That man's wife took it.
Oh, my.
Oh,
You see, the safe was set right by the door and went into the kitchen and
that's
stove.
your
I
daddy.
remember that, the way it went in the
Charles
kitchen.
Yeah, and she come out. She got hugged. But Will, you know, my daddy talked to all of Will, so Will was honest. It was his wife, his second wife. And my daddy said, you hug him. He used to open the safe door to the rest tail knocked down. When you open the safe door, there's a crack in it about that. Why when you said it, had several dollars to for it, put it out, she couldn't put her dress tail. He still didn't let nothing. And this woman, this nigger woman told him, she left there with a baby on her arm or a coat, and she put that half down through the arm and put that coat over it. And she went out. Then her this boy spotted this while they'd gone to lunch, and this boy brought two clothes in the cab. And you took him in, and left about 3 o'clock, they all left the 80 car. And that's when they left. They took him back in to eat dinner, to eat breakfast that morning when they
Right.
come by her, and she had told exactly how it was. And about my mama's grandfather. She didn't know a thing about that place, and
Yet she was able to tell all that.
she was able to tell all that.
Right. Now, let me ask you about Oliver Southern. His first marriage was to Lucinda Ward, which would have been before your time, and then to Nancy Clayton. Now, Oliver Southern had brothers and sisters. I want to see if you remember any of them.
Oh, yeah.
How about Polly? She was the oldest, perhaps, next to, I'm not sure.
I really, I've heard Mama talk about Aunt Polly, but I
I'm
don't
not-
know who's this.
Did she, I don't think these are the daughters of Oliver Southern, they must be sisters. She had 7, she married Zach Reese. That helps you.
Aunt Jenny Aunt Jenny was my daddy's, my granddad's sister.
Had brothers and sisters. I want to see if you remember any of them.
Oh, yeah.
How about Polly?
7.
She was the oldest, perhaps. Next to, I'm not sure.
I really, I've heard Mama talk about Aunt Polly, but I
I'm
didn't
not-
know whose sister.
Is she? I don't think these are the daughters of Oliver Sutherland. They must be sisters.
It must be.
She had 7. She married Zach Reese. That helps you.
Aunt Jenny was my daddy's, my granddad's sister.
Jenny, I don't see it. Let me read you the names.
Okay.
Sally.
Yes, I
He had a
know.
sister named Sally who married Jason Aiken
Yeah.
from Gilmer County near Dawson. Then, I'll give you some that you may know. Polly had 7 sons and 2 daughters. See if you remember any of these. These would be Reese's now, because she was a Southern.
I've heard Mama talk about them.
Jefferson.
Carl Reese.
Well, these were Jefferson, Doc, Marion, Faith, John, Will, Sarah. Reese married Uncle Joe Mulkey.
I remember.
And then Mary married Pinckney Goss. And those were the daughters of Polly, Oliver's sister, and Zachary.
Yeah, I know what Dr. Coley.
I've heard Mama talk about them, but I didn't know.
Then, let me see, get you younger, and maybe you'll remember some of them. The second oldest was Sally. She had 1 son, Oliver, and he never married. Then he had a brother named Will.
Aunt Sally Aikens was my grandpa's sister, and she had
Yeah.
a brother named Oliver. I mean, a boy named Oliver.
That's right, and Oliver never married.
No, we never did marry.
So that was the end. Sally married Jason Aiken, and that was, we're together so far. Then the next one in line was a brother named Will, who was one of the Southerns who wore no beards. Then there was a brother named Warren.
Heard Mama talk about Warren, so.
Don't know who he married. He had a son, somebody said named Aaron. Did you ever
Aaron
hear?
Southern, yeah. I
And
know
Mike.
Aaron Southern. Mike Southern, Silvey knows that.
Mike?
I know I heard it like that most.
Southern?
Yeah.
Mac or Mike?
Mike.
Mike.
Mac, M-A-C-K?
Oh, and Mike K.E.
M-I-K-E, well that's what I had down, yeah.
Yeah, Mike.
And then he had a daughter named Violet. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah.
But I can't find out any more about this Southern. Then Alto's wife's grandfather was a Warren Southern,
Warren Southern.
which puts it together back in the same Warren maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, Aunt Mary was a son.
Oh, yeah, Aunt Mary.
Yeah, Mary Ann Southern was Oliver's daughter, see?
Yeah.
Right.
Aunt Mary.
Yeah, that's why we're going back to her grandfather.
Very Southern.
But I'm taking the younger people behind Oliver, you see, to see if some of them might be still alive. Then he had a brother named Miles, question mark, I'm not sure.
My mama's brother was named Miles. Uncle Oliver, the
Yeah.
granddad.
You're
Miles
who?
Southern.
Oliver, Oliver, no, wait a minute. NB, you're not talking about Miles, who was a
No,
part of NB West. We're talking about,
I'm Southern.
Southern, Uncle Miles.
yeah,
Southern.
Uncle Miles Southern. Okay, so did he marry anyone?
Then he married Roxy somebody. I don't know like Roxy who she was. Do you say?
Wanda Reese
A
was.
Bearden?
Yeah, ain't Roxy Bearden.
Would it?
Yeah.
I want to be sure we're not running into the same one
I
now.
believe it. Yeah, ain't Roxy was Bearden.
He's right.
I'm just-
That's the same son you talking about having a girl named Donna and all that a while ago.
I don't know if we're running into the same one by mistake.
Uncle Miles Southern had a girl named Myra.
But was Uncle Miles Oliver's brother?
Uncle Miles was, no, Uncle Miles was
No, we're on.
Mama's daddy's son,
Yeah. Your Mary Ann Southern's?
brother. They're in.
Yeah, I'm afraid, yeah, wait a minute, no, that's a different,
Different Miles.
that's a different one out of the other marriage, you
Yeah,
see.
it must be.
I'm going back up on Oliver's level. He had a third sister, whose name I've never found out, who married Jasper Weaver. You ever heard of that? Oliver Southern. He had a fourth sister named Patsy.
That's a Haygood.
Yeah. Now isn't this Oliver Southern?
That's Oliver Southern's sister.
She married Tom Haygood. How would you spell that Haygood?
H-A-G-G-O-O-D.
H-A, not H-A-Y?
No, it's Haygood.
H-A,
H-A-G-W-O-D.
without a Y. And they had no children. And yet, that's what it says here. Now, I don't know whether they had one child named John. No, Haygood by first marriage had a son named John who died young of the mumps. And let me see who. Then married Aunt Nancy Southern.
John Haygood married my mama's half sister.
It couldn't be the same one if he died young of the mumps.
It was a different John.
Different John. Thomas Oliver, named after both grandparents. That's the Thomas Oliver we talked about.
Thomas Oliver.
That's mixing up the two groups.
Thomas Oliver.
Yeah, I got to be careful. This is Oliver way back, who's Mary Ann Southern's father, rather than her brother.
Thomas Oliver was Uncle.
She had a lot of half brothers too.
Well, Aunt Mary, now who was some of her relatives around here? What were their names, Silvey?
Maybe.
Uh-huh.
Who are you speaking of?
Altos, Aunt Mary.
Well, Eula Southern,
Mandy Southern.
Andy Southern, and Carrie Southern, and Les Southern, and
Angeline.
Angeline.
Whose children
Who
were
did
they?
Angeline
She
marry?
married Beardy. Nice kid.
Now, what Southerns were these? Whose children were they?
Jan Southern, and
Mary Ann Southern?
Ed and Mike Southern. I don't know whose children they were.
I wonder which one.
Mary Aldo's wife was Aaron Southern's daughter.
Yeah, but I don't know who Ed Southern.
Now, wait a minute. You say Aaron Southern?
Yeah.
I just said him here. Aaron Southern married. You don't know who he married.
No, I don't know.
But he had a daughter named who? This is Warren's son Aaron, right? Warren was a brother to Oliver, had a son named Aaron. Is that possible?
I don't know.
Because Alto's wife's grandfather was Warren Southern. It says here.
Well, my grandpa had a brother now.
Alto's wife, Daddy was Ed Southern.
Alto's?
Wife, Uncle Alto was his wife, was Ed Southern's daughter. And Mike Southern was Ed Southern's brother.
Aaron Southern?
Yeah. That lady married Daddy, Ed Southern's brother.
Aaron Southern was
Aaron now.
Aaron Southern was Mary's Aldo's wife's daddy.
All right.
Max
Was Mary, now say that again, who Aaron Southern?
Aaron Southern was Mary Mulkey's daddy.
Mary Mulkey's daddy.
Mary Mulkey
That's
married
FJ's
Aldo.
grandpa.
Huh?
That's FJ's grandpa. Ed Southern is.
Who's grandpa?
Frank.
Hey, yeah.
FJ.
You could call him again.
How about Mike Southern? Did anyone ever pick up
That's
his
Ed's
name?
brother. So I know about it, but
Problem here that I'm getting confused is Oliver Southern has a set of brothers and sisters, but he has several marriages and has children out of them, which causes a second level of some of the same names. And sometimes you're dealing with his own brothers and sisters, sometimes with his own children, you see. Warn you all out. Gotta quit now.
Listen, now y'all stay late. Why don't you just spend the night?
We
with us?
gotta need somebody.
We got to go, or I'm gonna try ringing, it up for just a minute. Silvey's got the kind of brain that can remember these numbers.
Well, that's it. It's got a brain.
Silvey, I tell you, we sure enjoyed you telling us all this and seeing
enjoy
you.
y'all video.
We've enjoyed it so much.
I had to find that
You don't,
thing.
I don't know how, we ought to take Silvey's phone number, buddy. I'll write it down.
Yeah, give Aunt May a card, 'cause she's...
And let me give you all a card of mine, so you can, when you get settled, drop us a note.
And maybe you would send us those pictures, I'd take real good care of them.
Well, I want them, yeah, we better register them and everything
You
else.
register them, we'll pay for all that.
Yeah, and I'll copy them.
When I go home,
When you go home, yeah.
I'm sending my home this week. I've got to go up.
So it's
Next
8:30.
But
Saturday.
you don't know what you're gonna be doing then.
No.
She gonna be staying with me.
Well,
I wanna write down,
I guess.
Sylvie's number.
After I send home, I'll have to come back and stay with you. Yes.
We should
What's
come
your
stay
phone
with
number
me.
here, Silvey?
4270482.
427-082.
4. Yeah.
Did you know I was named after Grandma?
Grandma Wood?
Annie? Oh, yeah.
Annie, I do. Can you remember Grandma?
Oh, yeah. I remember Grandpa.
Yeah, she
And I remember Grandpa, and he was so good then.
They lived up at Kennesaw.
We lived in Kennesaw, and you know,
My grandpa died.
I'd go with Cartersville. Daddy paddled in Cartersville too. I'd go with him every time he'd come.
Well, when I lived over there on Lee Street, he'd come sometimes and spend the night with me.
Right.
And we just never would go to bed.
I know it. We used to stop at Altoona at that creek there. Give the mule a drink. Yeah. We'd always go there and eat. Or your house.
Yeah, one time. Sometimes Aubrey come and spend the night with me.
And when you were in that wreck, you were calling for my mother, and my mother went there. Remember? And I
Yeah, well, Lily come and stayed with me and helped me.
Oh, I know it.
She sure did. She had to take care of me. And just tell her when you see her that I never will forget it for her.
Oh, she
I just
was
like
bad.
to have that. I was in bad wreck.
I think you were always her favorite. She'd always
she's
thought a
always-
lot of Silvey. I know that.
I've always loved
She used to
Lily.
cut my hair. I used to cut hair.
I know you did. You're about the only one that ever went to see her,
I
Mother.
love Lily.
Well,
more than-
that's for daddy. Let me have a mule to ride up past Cardi K. Why you don't cut hair? Well, I don't got to get my hair cut. I go, you know, and I said, when you get my hair cut next Sunday, I'm going to go back and get my hair cut. He said, you don't have to have a hair cut every week.
No, I
But you know, I used to do the back.
I still do.
I used to the back because they whipped me for it. And they got to watch me spit and everything. But I go up there and they wouldn't tell on me for sure. They said, I shoot the back and spit in the fireplace there. They wouldn't tell on me.
Well, I remember when I was a little girl, how Lily had pet me, and now I know I was sure would have been aggravated to her. But she never did. Now I could remember she never did scold me or nothing. When Alvin put me on the house, felt like he's going to set me out because I want to sleep with him. She just got over in bed with him. There's not many people that would have.
Now, my daddy was a sweet person.
Oh yes, he was sweet. He just wanted me to go on bed.
Now, I mean,
He was sweet in every way.
every way, as long as I remember.
What was that number on FJ?
422-5056.
422 5056. And it clicks every time it hits one, doesn't it?
Hey, May, it sure has been nice seeing you.
Then for me to get to see you, enjoy it. Did y'all spend the night? Something to do?
Oh, thank you, daggone. We just ate right before we come
You
over.
want to sit down here?
No.
Hello, FJ. I didn't get to you this afternoon, but I wanted to say hello to you.
No, we can come right
My
now.
cross.
Are y'all going to sit down here?
No, we just come by and see him.
We've been here with
He
Silvey.
said,
I
he
know.
wanted me to
We've
come
been
by and
with
see him.
Silvey and Aunt May, and been with,
I'd
yeah,
love to see Allie.
spent a few hours with him and with Aunt May, and then with
Just counting.
yeah, Floyd's wife up at the nursing home. So, right, I know. So we were round and round and saw Uncle Horace and Evelyn, and I don't know. I guess no, we didn't get to see you.
And we'll come over there now a little bit. We'll go back.
Well, that'll depend on whether you, we're in Marietta, whether you pooped.
A few minutes. I want to see some pictures he has of it.
Uh-huh. Well, don't be preparing anything for us, because we're eating and don't need anything, but we'd be happy to say hello to you if you want to do that. Yeah. Okay. All right, now all we do is find the way to, what is it, to Kenny Stone Hospital, and we look for Kenny Stone Hospital, and you're right there. No, we don't want anything to eat at all. No, thank you. Right.
Ross. Mike. Yeah, that's his.
Well, you fix whatever you like. No, we won't be able to do that, but Buddy would like to.
He's the administrator.
Hey, Bud, just a minute, let me. What? We're at Silvey's.
I'm gonna put Dell on next to him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know how to come. Yeah. All right. He'll point me to Austell Road, okay?
Yeah, I gotta get your different days here.
Yeah. Yeah. South Cobb Drive. That might be dangerous for strangers.
J-I-C-O-N-D, right?
Isn't it going to be very late if you drop on yourself?
Just a few minutes before next day.
Maybe I better put her on the line, and yeah, like she's here. You get on. He's telling you how to get there.
You know more about it.
I have no idea what you're going to recognize. Old electric lines, it says.
Just fine.
We're sitting in the home of Mr. and Mrs. E.S. Ball at 420 9th Street on the evening of October. This isn't done very much. I think I've got it turned down. We're sitting in the home of Mr. and Mrs. E.S. Ball at 420 9th Street in West Palm Beach on the evening of October 27th, 1974. And the people present are Ruby Mulkey Ball. We'll get more accurate descriptions later. Pauline Mulkey Farmer and Jenny Bell Mulkey Hubbard. Is that correct in terms of? Okay. And with them are their husbands, and my records are very bad here, so we'll get them correct. Ed Ball, Ernest Farmer, and I had blank Hubbard. That's not a very good tribute to him. Okay. Very good. You can see where we're picking up information. First, do you know without a family Bible, did you have a family Bible in Alto's family? And is that in someone's possession now?
Jay has it.
Who has it?
Jay, Frank, you know.
All right, FJ has that. Okay, so I've seen him, and he's got possession of it in Marietta. And some of this may just be off the top of your head, and we can corroborate it. Would you know offhand your father's birth date?
March the 20th, 1895. 82, was it?
March the 20th?
1880.
1882, you think? Okay. And your father married, what was your mother's maiden name?
Mary Louisa Southern.
Mary Louisa Southern. Was she a daughter of Oliver?
Aaron.
Of who? Of Aaron
Southern.
Southern. Okay. My notes are not. good here unless they're on another sheet. Okay. She was the daughter
Of Aaron Southern, and Grandma was Jane, Osborne, Osborne.
Osborne. Okay. Now you're speaking of your mother's, now your maternal grandmother's maiden name.
Yeah.
Well, she was an Osborne. Okay. Who married a Southern.
Aunt Lily could have given you a lot more about that than I can.
That's all right. Do you know any further going back on your mother's side?
Well, they were, her people
Aaron
were
Southern.
Williams, the Williams family.
You mean the Aaron Southern?
No, that was
Mother-
on the Osborne side.
Yeah, on the Osborne side there
Yeah,
were
she
Williams
had an
back
uncle
then.
named Williams, Alfonso Williams.
All right.
That's as much as I know. though.
Okay. Now, on your, do you know your mother's birthday too?
Tell him, Paul, you know, I get it wrong again. September the 8th, 1882, I guess, because they were the same age. 6 months.
What was her full name again?
Mary, Louiza. And that was from the Cannemers, Louisa Cannemer. That's where that name came from.
What was she called? What was
Mama Mary.
she? Mary. Okay. And she was born in 1882. And her birthday?
September the 8th.
Do you know the deceased dates on either your mother or your father?
Daddy died in April of 1968, and Mama died in 1960. I don't know.
68, did you say on your father? And your mother?
1960.
Okay.
September.
All right, where are they both buried?
Ebenezer.
Okay, then we can quit there because I've got pretty good Ebenezer records. Can I have, and I think your voices, Ruby's been speaking, but Paulina be heard, maybe if you speak a little louder because of the distance.
You come over here.
You've been able
Why would
to
you
be...
do that, Rick?
Don't you need?
Huh?
I was telling her not to move, she jumps up.
And why don't you're doing fine, just so you're close enough in. This thing has this mic that picks up in the center here, so my voice is probably carrying the best. Let me read off what I have as a tentative order, and you correct it, of the children of Alto and Mary Louise Southern. Ruby was the oldest, then Ed, Cleo. Boy, this is out of order. Cleo was the next. What was your birth date, Ruby?
March 15th, 1906.
And Cleo?
February the 14th. Let's see. Must have been 1908.
1908. About 2 years?
Yeah.
All right. Is it true that he burned to death when he was 9 years old? She, excuse me, Cleo. Is that about right?
I was 11.
Okay. Who was the third in order then?
Yeah. James Edward.
Called Ed? And he was actually James Edward. Okay.
You want the full?
Yeah, I'd like to have the full one and then underline. You know, you're called Ruby, but what is your full?
Alene.
And how do you spell that?
Alene.
All right.
And Cleo was Cleola Rosalie, but Mama always called her Cleo.
It was spelled Cleola.
Rosalie.
Rosalie was one name the way it was used? Rosalie. And Pauline, no, now the third was James Edward. Do you know his birthday?
October the 20th, 1912.
October 20th, 1912.
I'm 8 years older than he is.
8 older?
6, I'd say.
6, that'd be 6, right? Yeah, it'd be about 6 and a half.
Well, that's right, he was just older than mine.
That was James Edward. Did James Edward marry a Greer?
No.
No, this you have, my question marks are, you know, clear. They got a question mark on them.
Irene Bramley.
All right. Irene Bramley. Bramblett. Was she from Ella J?
No,
No,
just
this is
from
all-
Marietta to
Marietta. Do you know where? There was no Greer married into your family, huh? This is just misinformation. I had a big question mark, you may have noticed on it. When someone, gives you something with it, I think so, they may mean another cousin married that Greer or something. Okay, that's 1, 2, and Edward was third in line. Was Pauline fourth?
That's what they say.
Okay.
She was in Texas.
What was your birth date?
February 8th, 1916.
1916. Almost a war baby, huh?
Yeah.
And was FJ fifth? Has he always gone by the initials FJ? And he's been
He
called.
prefers Frank. He prefers Frank J.
They call him Jay.
Formerly,
Everybody
we
calls
call him J.
In the family, you call him J.
Jay. Like Jay.
Yet very commonly in the experiences I've had of people on the street or other cousins or this type of thing, they'll speak of him as FJ. Is that right? Is that a reason for this? Or?
No, he does his business under the name of Frank.
But that's
J.
been in recent
The
years.
family calls him Jay. J.
All right.
That's just a nickname.
Right.
J.
He's Frank J, right?
Frank period. Frank J.
It's a J period, not J-A-Y. Okay.
The way we write to him is J-A-Y-J. Or something like that. But
Okay, November, I'm sorry I broke
November 5th,
this.
1918, you said?
Yeah, he and I know are about the same age because we've talked about that. I'm November
After the end of the
9.
war, and we moved down to Smyrna. We
Both
was going down there.
1918, it was just a week before the war was over, just about. Okay.
Because Uncle Horace got out.
Now, actually, can I back up a minute? The ones that were born in Gilmer County, and you stopped me, would have been Ruby, Cleo, Edward, and Pauline.
Stop.
Not you.
Yeah.
Stop at that point. And now Alto has left Gilmer County, and FJ is the firstborn. He's unmarried, has been unmarried, and stayed with his family, sir, with his father. And he remains in, would you call it the 106 Lacey Street family home? Is that a fair way to describe it?
their last known home.
Then the sixth child was Jenny Bell. Is that correct? It's Jennie-Belle-E? Okay.
And his name is Bill Clyde Hubbard. That's...
Yeah.
It's
It's
not William.
Bill, it's not a William.
No, it's Bill.
And it's Clyde, C-L-Y-D-E.
Right.
Does Ed use Ed, or is it Ed? Ed is what he's called for, Ed Ball.
Oh, his name is Eddie Sherman. E-D-D-I-E-S-H-E-R-M-A-N.
Ed is what he's
Famous war
called.
general.
Yeah, right.
Eddie. He's called Eddie. Well, mostly.
He's
His
called
papers are
Eddie.
Eddie Sherman. That's his
Okay.
legal name.
Right.
He goes the name of Ed Ball.
Either one.
All right. Ernest Farmer, is that a fair? Or do you use any? Do you have a fuller name?
C.
Okay.
What is the city for?
Clinton.
Clinton. But Ernest is what you're called, right?
Yes.
All right, I was going to try.
Sometimes Ernie, but mostly.
Okay, is that all the children? There were no infant deaths that you're aware of? Or?
No, that's all.
Okay.
Pauline didn't get
That's
her
small
full
for,
name.
huh?
I said Pauline didn't get her full name.
We've got
Well,
to get her full name.
You mean it's like Talitha Bell, her sister Bell, and stuff? Or her, she's Ardella Annie and called Buddy now. She's grown up and called Pigeon. And she,
Uncle Horace named you. You ought to be proud of it.
what did Uncle Horace name you, Pauline?
Ozella.
Ozella?
Pauline. Ozella Pauline.
Ozella came first. How did he spell it? O-Z?
That's what they say.
Double L?
O-Z-E-L-L-A.
Okay, and Pauline is what you're called. I've got it. Ruby, Pauline, Cleo. Edward is what he's called. Jay is in the family, or sometimes some other people call him F. And Jenny Bell, you go by your
Jenny.
Jenny. I guess this is cranking along. What you, what do you know of, to describe Alto as a Marietta businessman, where would you start his career? Say, you being the oldest, Ruby, what would you say?
In a business world?
Well, let's say he started farming when he first, he was a Gilmer County farmer.
Yes.
All right, then, I want to just,
Then, when they left Gilmer, they moved
what,
to Smyrna.
yeah, but did he ever do anything else up in Gilmer County before? All right.
I used to carry apples and
Produce to Atlanta.
to Atlanta from there.
Wagon.
I think that's interesting.
You mean from?
With a wagon.
Gilmer County.
Yeah, now a number of them did this. Now, you know, this was a common thing in terms of what people say. Did you accompany him? Do you ever remember?
No, I was just a little girl. We left there when I was 11.
All right.
It's on the porch. Pauline has a pet dog.
Yeah, I saw it out there. Now, the other two would have been born in Smyrna, is that right? Jay and Jenny Bell were born?
I was born in Kennesaw.
Kennesaw, okay.
Jay was born in Smyrna.
Okay. Oh, Jenny Bell's birthday.
January 3rd, 1922.
You're a contemporary of Buddy's.
Yeah.
What about when he, you remember from Gilmer County that he brought produce down to Atlanta, all the way to Atlanta, or did he have stop?
Yes.
What would it take him, a couple of nights or on the road? Or?
Yes, he'd have to stop over somewhere. He'd take cabbage and apples and potatoes, just whatever we grew on the farm. And Mama, we would do it all together when we did the load on the road.
As far as you know, he traveled alone on those trips.
He may have had someone went with him one time that I know of was Jim Prince, and I never knew. I just looked up Jim Prince, and he went with
Okay.
Daddy, and Daddy didn't make any money on that trip, and he said never again.
Do you think it was in the course of that as they looked at things, he decided maybe Smyrna was a place to move to, or?
No, he didn't know about it. I don't know how he.
After the death of Cleo, didn't he move to
Oh,
Smyrna?
yeah. Mama didn't. She didn't want to live up there anymore. But I don't know how he settled in Smyrna.
Was Uncle Horace there?
No.
Horace would have been
He came
younger.
after.
Although Horace, with World War I, settled Horace, so he didn't go back to Gilmer County.
And I'm Charlie, didn't you?
What year? I'm trying to put it together. It was about 1917 then. If you were 11 years old, that he moved to Smyrna, huh?
Well, what about the period in there where he worked for
That was before he was married.
Where did he move to Smyrna? To a farm at first?
Just about 2 or 3 miles below Smyrna, south of Smyrna.
Do you remember that move yourself? Do you? Were you old enough? You would remember it. Cleo was dead, and is Ed still alive?
Oh, yes, he's just, not now. I mean, then he was just a little boy.
But you're the one with the memories of that move. What was it like, the move of the family?
Well, it was very disruptive. Mama was the one that wanted to move, but Daddy didn't want to go. He didn't want to sell his farm because he had really worked on that farm. And it had
How many acres did he have? Do you have any?
60.
60.
And there was an old log house on it when we first went there, and he built a new house. He and Grandpa Mulkey built a new house.
That was Old Man Kim, huh?
Yeah. But Daddy had worked so hard on that farm. There'd be little old ditches, and he'd drain those and put wooden culverts in there. And then he'd fill that in with rich dirt, and he got it so it really juiced well. So he didn't want to move. But Mom was very unhappy about the death of Theo and all.
Yeah.
Well, how come Grandpa Mulkey helped to build a house? Did they live down there?
Grandpa Mulkey lived here.
How far away did Kim live at that point, would you
Near
say?
that Cartier, let's see, must have been about 4 or 5 miles.
And how would you describe where Alto's farm was at that point? How would you describe
It was near what used to be Oakland School. It's what do they call it now? It's not Oakland anymore. And let's see, it would have been west of Carter Cave.
Yeah.
And it was just a little old rundown farm when he took it, but he worked so hard building it up that he built a dam across the creek and made the river bottom and did corn and produce.
Who owned it before he?
Greenway. That was one that would say, oh, Daddy, they came, later, and Daddy saw the corn that Daddy's going, he says it'll make fine stalk, but there won't be any ears on it.
Oh, I remember.
But Daddy worked awful hard, and then Grandpa helped him. They built a new house, 100 yards out from the old house in the barn, and we moved out.
That was Black
Snake Cove.
Oh, no, that's up where Grandpa Mulkey came from. That's where I was born.
You were born, you said, near Kim Mulkey's blacksmith shop. Is that what you
In the
said?
Black Snake Cove.
In
The first house that Mom and Daddy ever had.
yeah.
Little cabin in Black Snake Cove. It was on Grandpa's land.
Oh, this was a cove.
Little sheltered area, you know what
Yeah,
cove is.
sure. What are your earliest memories of social life like? What did you do for recreation? And what did you do for work? Yeah, how did you help them?
I worked in the field. I pulled fire, pulled corn.
How old were you when you
I was
first went?
11 when we left there.
How old were you when you first went out to help them?
Oh, they
sow
took me
seed?
right along as a baby on a quilt. And when we were living in the Black Snake Cove, Daddy was always fond of telling about, they had me down below, on this blanket or quilt or something, and they were up above.
Excuse me a minute. I want to get you in closer if I can to be sure we're getting
Oh,
this.
I don't want to
because
get in.
Come on,
What
yeah.
are you talking about?
Come on, now don't you go away, Pauline. I was just wanting to be sure you're in closer.
well.
The
They were hoeing corn up on, how you came from North Carolina,
Yeah,
you know
go
what
ahead.
mountains are.
yeah.
So they were hoeing the corn, working up above, and I was down here under a shade, in this blanket.
Yeah.
And somehow they started a big old flat rock. It got up on edge and started rolling, going lickety-split, just heading for me just as hard as it could.
Mm-hmm.
And Daddy ran and caught it. He said just before, in the nick of time, just before it rolled over me, he caught it.
Right.
He was always fond of telling that story.
Cleo worked beside you until her death too. You remember? And do you have memories of Cleo?
Oh yes, she went to school. She died. She was just 9.
Mhm.
So we all, when they went, they took us kids, with them. I'll tell you one story that always stuck in my mind. When Ed was a little baby, he was the first boy, and we were so crazy about Ed. And there used to be some Indian people lived up there, the Sinyards.
What was the name of these Indian people? Sinyards?
I think it was Sinyard was probably the correct spelling. And her name was Marcini, see? And
Where did they live in relation? You were in the cove then?
Oh no, we were down at this place at Carter Cave.
West of Carter Cave.
And they lived, I don't know exactly, I never saw a house where they lived, but they lived, that would have been northeast from us. But anyhow, there were just these 2 old women left. And Mama was, of course, when Ed was born, she couldn't take care of the house. And this woman came to stay. And I was just a kid, I was just 8. And we were so proud of Ed, and he was such a cute little baby. And so one morning she was bathing him, and I was standing by the fire watching her. And she says, Daddy had a big old hog out in the pen, fattening. She said, I'm going to feed this baby to the hogs. And it just terrified me. I just screamed and cried. But I never forgot that. They were characters, those Indian women. They used to work for Grandma. Once when Pauline and Mom and all.
You mean Kim's wife, Talitha? Who they worked for?
No, Southerns.
Southerns they worked for. Were they, would you think, elderly people left over from the Cherokee migration?
Yeah, they were old.
People who stayed?
Big old fat women. And I was afraid of them to start with because they were Indians, They were going to feed it to the hogs. It scared me to death.
What did you do socially? Did you get to see many of your cousins? Was church important?
Yes. Oh, yes, and we went to church every Sunday. That was.
Where did you go to church?
Ebenezer.
All right.
And we went in the wagon to church. And then Dad and Mama, they would sing at night. They'd sit out on the doorsteps and sing those
What were
old,
some of their favorite songs?
those old gospel songs.
Remember the names of any of the particular ones?
Oh, How Firm a Foundation and all the old gospel songs,
When you went to church, was that old shape note singing that
Yeah.
they could do?
Oh yes, they used to sing all those notes singing. That's the way they learned when they were young.
Right.
I never knew how to do it.
You never learned that fa, fa, so,
Nope.
you know, okay.
I don't know about that.
Was one of the, didn't they also sing songs like Green Grows the Laurel?
Oh yeah, oh love songs, ballads,
Green
Barbara
Grows the Laurel,
Allen.
Barbara Allen.
all those old.
Where do you think, like take Barbara Allen, do you think he had learned it maybe from his mother or his father? How do you think they were picking up folk songs?
Well, my grandfather, they knew each other all their lives. Grandpa Mulkey and Grandpa Mulkey used to go and make syrup for the Southerns.
Aaron Southern.
And they knew all those old songs. And Grandpa was a great fiddler. He was in great demand at all the square dances.
This was Aaron Southern?
Aaron Southern.
Okay, he was a good fiddler.
He was
huh?
a good fiddler. And
What do you remember? Tell me about that. Anything you can remember?
oh, I
about
know why. He used to play that fiddle and my toes would just itch.
Mhm.
I'd give him anything if I could have
Yeah.
danced.
Where would they...
He'd
but
say,
you weren't
"That's a
dancing.
tune," but I didn't know.
Did you see, was there much dancing where you went?
There was, but we wasn't included.
Right.
Our folks wouldn't let us
Where would
dance.
you dance? In the homes of some
Yeah,
friends?
and they'd have these, that mama, she never would admit, but she said she went to a play or a party and it was just a dance, and Grandpa, you ain't Angela, I'll tell you about it. And they always wanted Grandpa because he could really make that fiddle talk.
Would he play alone or would there be several fiddlers?
Oh, there'd be others, but we never heard them. See, we didn't go there. We just heard him in his home. But he could
When
play.
you visited Grandpa Aaron Southern's home?
He would play, let me play a little tune. Now, you dance a step for me, but of course
Yeah.
I couldn't dance a lick.
Okay. This was a lot different then, wasn't it, in contrast in a sense? How did you view, say, a visit to Kim compared to Aaron Southern?
Well, it's hard to say. I love both of them. Now, Grandpa Mulkey was very strict. He was a justice of the peace and a deacon in the church, and he didn't go for that sort of stuff.
Right.
So, but Mama, after Daddy and Mama married, why, he put a crimp in her style, and she didn't go for it either. So us kids never got to do anything like that.
Okay.
But we went to church every Sunday, and we went when they have the revivals. That was a great thing, and the dinners on the ground and all that. You've been through all that.
Do you remember some of your uncles and aunts on Aaron Southern's side?
Yeah.
And do you remember their names? His brothers, for instance.
Oh, my great uncles.
Yeah. Let's start. Yeah, that's right, Pastor.
No, I don't
Do you remember any of?
I did. They were all gone when I was by the
Okay.
time I could remember anything. I've heard them talk about my grandmother, grandpa, and grandma. His name was Warren Southern. And what was her name?
She was a hell of
Yeah, she had the.
She was
she
a
had the
what now? You
reputation.
saying,
without
Paul?
her feet.
Louder.
A little louder. Go on. Say it again. She was a what?
Oh,
Heller, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's exactly what she said.
What was her name?
Granny Southern.
That's all we ever knew was Granny Southern.
This is Aaron's wife. Is that who
It's
you
his
said?
mother,
It's Aaron's mother.
and his
she-
name was Warren.
She was a Warren originally.
Warren Southern was his name. Warren
Ah.
Southern.
Aaron's
Father.
father was Warren Southern.
And I don't know what Grandma's name was, but
And this
that's all we knew was
is
Granny.
Warren Southern's wife. Okay, was a Helen. Well, what would you mean by that? She's just joking in the family, you know what I mean? What do you
Well,
think?
I guess she was.
She liked a good time, or
No, I think she ruled the roost with an iron hand, more or less.
Okay.
And she was kind of
one of the
bossy
people
type,
were
evidently.
described as a hellcat in a little
Well, I
in the
guess
last
that would.
few days.
I guess that would go
be
for her
close
too.
to what?
They always were telling some crazy story about Grandpa and Grandma about Warren, you old devil, you. Where have you been? The hogs are out. The chickens are all out and gone, and the hogs has rooted the house over.
You're recorded, you know.
Yeah. How about calling home the hogs? Did Alto ever do that, or did you ever hear Kim doing that?
Yeah.
Who did you hear doing that for? You did Alto, your own dad? How about your grandfather Kim? Would you
Oh,
hear?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't-
That Tigoi, did you ever hear it? Could you imitate? Yeah. That's right. Have you been with him when he's done that?
Nah, it was before my day. This is just tradition.
People would be imitating it, okay. Do you think he had a distinctive way about him compared to other people's style?
Grandpa Mulkey?
Yeah.
He said, yes, he did, and they had that Irish glitter in his eyes. He was just full of mischief. I tell you something, he did it, and I think Grandma Southern really believed it. You know, she was an Osborne, and she was an English extraction, and they were a little more sophisticated, shall I say. And they were making syrup up there one time. Grandpa got up to go out somewhere, you know, and they were all, you know, how sleep in those big old log houses. And he came back in and he stepped in the water that he supposedly did. I don't know if he really did or not, but Grandma thought he did. And he stepped in this stuff and got between his toes. And he just read it up like that and I took it out and popped it in his mouth. Oh, Grandma and all those girls, they thought that was the funniest thing that ever happened.
What was it he stepped in?
He said the syrup candy, where they've been making candy pulling.
Oh, I'm glad you got that straightened out.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering what he stepped in too, yeah. I was wondering what he was putting in his mouth. They'd been making syrup, okay. Now, which grandpa were you speaking of this time?
That's Grandpa Mulkey.
Grandpa
but he was
Mulkey.
at Grandpa Southern's.
Right, but are you indicating that underneath a more stern exterior, Kim Mulkey did have a
Full of mischief.
mischief? Okay. Whereas Aaron Southern, your other grandfather, was much more openly permissive in the
He didn't
sense
like strange people, but he loved to play that violin. And
yeah.
he was,
Did he sing himself?
No, he didn't sing. He just,
But he played, and he liked people to enjoy themselves singing and
Yeah.
dancing.
and he liked for people to dance and have a good time.
And
Yeah.
he liked a little nip.
Little Nip,
Right.
oh yes, they all
Well, do
did.
you know any of them
Didn't they
that
all
didn't
like
like a
little
little nip? Yeah, we got to start it the other way.
Della, are you sure this guy don't belong in the FBI?
Yeah.
He's already
That's what
pulled
she's
up
always
like
kidding
this
you
about
out.
me more than I ever told anybody.
Well, really, when the only thing that you, I don't know whether you're being evasive or whether you're unintentionally so. Generally, the people who describe leaving Gilmer County to go to Marietta, Smyrna, and Atlanta with produce might start the first time with just produce, but sooner or later they'd get stopped along the road and be told, well, you know what, we hear you make up in Gilmer County is some of the best moonshine, and sooner or later they'd be,
I don't know about that.
Okay.
If he did, he never let us kids know it.
okay. But this was not, it's one of the things I think that gets confused because actually the production of corn at that point, you know, it might only sell for $1 a bushel, whereas in liquid form,
That was their
a
biggest
person could make
money-making
$5, but you know, and
scheme, I know that.
$1 was hard to come by then, so that it
No,
was.
he did that even in his old age. He'd take his Jeep and go back to the mountains and get a load of
Yeah.
cabbage and beans and
Well-
eggs and stuff and bring them down and sell them in the neighborhood.
Mhm.
He did that since I can remember.
You mean it's
Yeah.
sort of?
No,
Yeah,
I
you're
think-
talking about Alto now.
Alto now.
You mean of marketing? You
Marketing,
think? Yeah, right.
yeah.
Around Marietta,
Yeah,
Smyrna.
all
anyway.
around through there.
He always was a businessman,
Oh,
wasn't he?
yes, very much.
Essentially in his
And another
makeup.
thing, they brought us up very strictly, and he was a religious man, he and Mama both. And I don't actually think that he ever did that. Now that,
I see. Yeah.
I don't say he didn't because I
No.
don't know, but if he
No,
did,
and
he kept it from us. We never
I
did.
didn't mean that you. I
Yeah.
was being facetious in meaning that you're
Yeah,
being
that's
evasive.
all
It's
right.
just that there's ones that even began sometimes will say, "Well, I'm not sure they did it," but then later people would ask them about it, and they might get involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure some of them didn't do it at all. Were there particular favorites that you had as a child in terms of aunts or uncles or homes you liked to visit more than others?
Yeah, I always liked to go to Aunt Lily's. They
Well,
were
what
like-
do you
she's
think?
always a lot of fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked Aunt Ella and Uncle Floyd, their kids. We were about the same age.
Now,
And Aunt May and Antha, they were my...
and
yes.
who?
Aunt May and Antha, that was Uncle Charlie.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Children.
Uncle Charlie's children.
They-
You felt closer to them
Yeah,
too.
we were about the same age. We went
you
to
always
school
went
together.
to your grandmother Southern too. long
Oh
as-
yeah,
always.
we always went there. And that was a real treat to go to Grandmother Southern. She used to make persimmon beer now, talking about your alcoholic
Yeah, tell me
beverages.
about that. Mhm.
I don't remember that.
I remember that before
You
your
were too
day.
young, so you were young Kennesaw, not
That
born.
was one of her trademarks was persimmon beer and gingerbread.
Mm.
And she had a big old, they had a spring. Oh, that spring was as big as this room. And it was just gushing out of that mountain, just ice cold.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to feel it.
This is the grandma that you're calling an Osborne? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They get me on
What was her first
talking,
name?
and then they go sit off and make fun of me.
Jane.
Jane?
What
was
was Grandma's
Jane.
name? Jane.
I guess it was Mary Jane something.
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane.
Mm-hmm.
She was Mary Jane Osborne, right?
Osborne.
But she made a good persimmon
Beer.
beer, huh? Do you know how she made it? Did you ever?
No, I don't
Okay.
know how. I'd like you to make homemade wine.
Yeah, right.
But she had this big old spring house out there, and she'd have jars of milk, crocks out of it, and you could just, she'd take, and I used to think, you know, her milk balls, as they call them, they just were snowy. They just so white. They just glistened when she was young. Yeah,
These were
girls-
what that were that?
Her milk balls that she tied over her
Mhm, yes.
churns.
What was the reason they were so white?
Well, she made her own soap with eagle eye and the, where'd they get that soap? When they kill
Ashes.
hogs. When they kill hogs, the fat.
Right.
And
yeah,
the
hard.
lye that dripped through the ashes.
Mhm.
And that made real strong soap, but it really got things clean. But I always remember Grandma's milk cloths were just snowy white.
Okay.
Now, Jenny and Pauline don't remember this because when they were growing up, she had gotten old and couldn't take care of things like she used
But I
to.
remember the way she beat the clothes on a battering block with the sticks, you know.
Oh, yeah. When you visited. Now, what,
These girls.
by the time you left the mountains, had your grandparents, Aaron and Mary Jane, were they still alive by the time you left them? Did you go back to visit them?
Oh, yeah.
And do you remember also visiting Kim after he came down from the mountains?
Yes. We
When
used to go up there.
That's when he was still up there, but he came down and was by the 1920s located at.
Yeah, when Daddy came down, he came shortly
Who do you
after.
think was the first one who came to that area? Was your father amongst the first or not?
You mean to that area,
Yeah,
George?
yeah. The Cobb County.
Well, great-grandpa Mulkey, he was
DeKalb County.
DeKalb County,
Yeah.
Daddy.
Do you think
Now, I
Alto
can't-
started
yeah.
these migrations?
And I don't remember where he got the information, how he happened to go to Smyrna, but he was the first one went. Then Uncle Charlie came, then Uncle Horace, and then Grandpa and Grandma. They all came down.
Where did Grandpa and Grandma live when they first came?
East of Smyrna.
They have a house by themselves. I don't
Uncle
remember
Horace
that.
lived there. And then
That
I
was before Uncle Horace was married.
yeah.
Another thing was Floyd was often described as sort of roaming and drifting. But was it fun to visit with Floyd and Aunt Emma, do you think?
Ellen.
Aunt Ella, I'm sorry, yeah.
He was jolly and funny.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play any musical instrument or anything like that, but he was always fun. And I remember one thing I never forgot when I was just a little girl out in that old log house. Uncle Floyd came down there one time. He was a great one to go off other places to work.
Yes.
And he was up above Blue Ridge. They were building the railroad up there, and he went there with me. And he came down and visited Mom and Daddy, and I was just a little kid then. But when he went back, he sent me a box of candy. Well, I never did forget that.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
That's Gertha's father.
Right. Uncle Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the things that you either most wanted or that you only got once a year? In other words, what was rare in your life? What did you look forward to?
Oranges and candy.
When would you
chewing gum,
get them?
Christmas.
Only.
You were lucky.
That's before you left Gilmer County. By the time you were in the Smyrna area a while, you were more spoiled in the sense of affluence and getting used to these
We
things.
only lived there, let's see, we lived there 1 year, I guess. Jay was born there, and then we moved to Kennesaw.
And how long were you in Kennesaw?
Well, I was 16 when we left Kennesaw, and Dad was still farming.
And then you've been there about 4 years, right?
But,
And then where, to Marietta?
Mhm.
All right.
He went in business then. He never did farm after that, except just gardens.
Oh, I see. He'd basically be described as a businessman after those
Oh, yeah.
years.
And he always bought these old farms and houses and repaired them,
Yeah.
so
He traded in
real estate.
real estate. And does Jay does something of that today, or still trades in real estate?
Daddy got him, I guess he got him started. All in you're supposed to be doing this, come with you.
How about Ed? Was Ed ran a store at
Ed now.
Woodstock? Is that right?
He had a store in Marietta first.
Started in Marietta,
Started in Marietta.
Cherokee Street.
And was Woodstock later?
Well, he went to Woodstock. He left Marietta, then he went to Woodstock and opened hot dog stands. small hot dog stands. No, he had a
Now
hot
wait.
dog
What
stand.
about Dixie Inn? That was that?
Now, this is
That's
later.
something else. Yeah.
He went to the Woodstock and had this hot dog stand, real small, but it built up into a fairly good-sized business. He stayed there roughly, how long, a year or less, and he sold it for a fairly good profit. Some Mr. Reeves, who ran the florist place, made a proposition to him that he would build a store. He saw Ed was a good businessman, and he attracted a lot of business. Now, Reeves had a florist shop 4 or 5 miles out of Woodstock toward Marietta, and he wanted Edward nearby for a drawing attraction. So he made Edward a good proposition to build him this business to open a restaurant down across the street from him.
Is that the Dixie Inn that
That
we?
was Dixie Inn.
Yeah, I remember visiting.
Well, now, he built this for him. He says, I'll give it to you for $50 a month. Well, Edward couldn't begin to build it for anything like that. Well,
Was it
then
his popularity as well as his
was
good
the
business
drawing
sense?
card. So when they drew people to the Dixie Inn, they would buy flowers from Reeves
Right.
across the street.
Let me also see if I have the some facts. I mean, you may have to speak up now, Ruby, if I'm back on you.
Why would you get away?
I want to know where there are any grandchildren of Altos now, and in which families they occur. There's Ed, and who was the oldest of Ed's?
Ed,
James Edward Jr.
James Edward Jr.
James Edward Jr., okay.
And John F. Mulkey.
John F. was the second.
His name John Franklin Mulkey. He was named for Daddy. The Franklin is for Daddy. Daddy's name was Alto Franklin.
Alto Franklin, okay.
Where did Alto come from?
I don't know.
A lot of those names. The only one that really it puzzles is there was Uncle Gus who named all of his children with H's. You remember that one? And you interview all of them and then try to figure out where did he get this in his mind to do it.
Did they tell you about Uncle Floyd, what he said about that?
I'll see if I can give it to you. That when he named Howard, Hiram, Harvard,
Hayden,
Horace,
Harvard, and Horace.
Hayden, and then he had a girl, and he said he was going to name her Hetty Fay, and Uncle Floyd came along and said, Hetty Fay Hell. Is that right? Okay. Is that a true story in the family? Okay.
Howard, Hiram, Hayden, Harvard, Horace, and how'd you name the girl? Hetty Fay. Hetty Fay Hill.
That was Uncle Floyd's remark, right?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a legend that I have down
my
here.
God.
Yeah.
You got any more legends like that? I didn't mean to beat you to that one. I want to indicate
No, I thought it was
I
good.
had run into it. Now, I've got so far 2 children of James Edward with Irene Bramblett. James Edward Jr. and John Franklin. There's a girl, I understand.
Cynthia Ann, A-N-N-E, I think she's still.
Cynthia Ann-N-N-E.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what's happened to... have each of those children married, or?
Yeah. Oh, the children, no, the grandchildren.
I'm starting to say with James Edward Jr. now.
2 boys married.
Do you know who James Edward Jr. married?
Marie,
Marie.
what was that doctor's name? What was the doctor's name?
All good.
No. Oh, gracious.
Haygood.
Haygood.
H-A-G, without a Y.
Y-G-O-O-D.
There is a Y in there?
Yeah, H-A-Y-G-O-O-D.
Okay. And then John Franklin.
He married Judy, and I don't know if she had, I don't know if she has a given name or not. Judy's
Reese,
all
did
right.
you? She was a Reese.
RWSC or
RWCE, she's from them same
If
Reese's
she's from the
as well.
Gilmer County
Yeah.
Reese, do you think she was?
Yeah.
Okay.
mhm.
He went back to Gilmer County to find her?
No, her family lived down there
Woodstock.
too. Woodstock.
Okay.
But she is related to those.
Did a lot of Gilmer County Reeses, the county was full of Reeses. One of the things I have down here somewhere is that the Reeses, I don't know, they set a number of records. One of them is for several families having 16 and 17 children apiece when 12
They were
was
very
more normal.
prolific.
And the other was that until they gave me one accident, until then, no Reese had ever not been long-lived and died naturally. I mean, until somebody came along and shot one of them did something. You know, they were long-lived, heavily productive people. How about Cynthia Ann? Did she marry?
Not yet. She's school, she teaches school in Mableton,
Where?
Mableton, Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Now, where does John Franklin live then?
Marietta.
And where does James Edward?
Oh, he
He
recently,
lived in Marietta all his life until this year. He moved to Homer, Georgia, just out of Gainesville.
Okay.
Opening a bank up there, the big bank president.
Is he going to be the president actually?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's the expectation.
Mm-hmm.
He was the executive vice president of the commercial bank in Marietta a good many years.
These then would all bear the Mulkey name, right? These two boys
yeah.
would, and
Cindy.
now coming on down, Jenny Bell, you have two? I had two or three, but I've since learned we're talking about two, huh?
Jan Claire.
Get rid of two or three and I might find the room to write something. My wife gives up on my notes. I say, somewhere or other, like these guys with desks full of papers, I bail it all out and start dictating. It comes out into some shape. With Bill Clyde now. Your oldest is
Jan Claire.
J, and a second name is C?
Claire.
K-I-R-E. Okay.
Her birthday is July 19th, 1945.
All right. And a second?
Susan Lorraine. It's Lorraine.
Uh-huh.
August 27th, 1948.
Okay.
They both married.
All right.
You got room for this?
Yeah, let me ask this too. You all are now in Jacksonville, but I can do something else. You stayed around Atlanta, you and Bill, for some time. Is that right? Okay.
Oh, really?
Let's see. John Clare married.
James Harris Scroggins.
James
Harris.
Scroggins.
Scroggins.
All right.
The third.
Oh, the third. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That's the joke. I see the
believe
fingers
it.
working. Yeah.
This other daughter married a third, too.
Okay. That happens. I will believe it. I've never seen it. Some things happen, but they don't happen in the oddest way.
And they have a child.
What? Now you're talking about Jan Clare to start with? All right. And from that marriage, the child is?
James H. the fourth.
All right. And his birthday?
It's October 2nd. And he was 3 years old this past October, so that's 71, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. All right. Now we're talking about
wait a minute, she had one
Susan.
more.
Oh, she
had
does
one
have a
more.
child that died.
She had one more that lived
All right,
about
but
2 hours.
I think with some of these old, back in the history, I'm going into them more because you're dealing with, I think, a social matter of
Yeah.
like 12 living. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that, where I don't regard it nowadays with a pill and with a totally different social environment. Take Floyd and Ella. The fact that 9 are alive and 1, 2, three, just like Cleo, you know, I mean, some that lived for periods of time. You're dealing, in social, you're going to deal with typhoid. I'm going to have to go into, you know, I mean, that there was a lot around killing kids off. Nowadays, it's, you know, I'm sort of skipping it, I think. Susan Lorraine married.
Joseph Warren Fuller. W-A-R-R-E-N.
All right.
Fuller the third.
I want to see what I wiped out underneath that. God, this Gertha. I see what I got into. I almost ran into the Floyd family if they're not changing sheets. They have any children?
No.
Okay. What other things do you remember? Was there a lonely feeling at leaving Gilmer County and being away from all? Was there some comfort, especially for you, Ruby, at your age, in a big family in Gilmer County?
Well, yeah, I enjoyed all my cousins and my uncles and aunts and grandparents. But when we came to Smyrna, we didn't know anyone, and it was very difficult. But we only stayed there a short time, and then we moved to Kennesaw.
Shortly thereafter, you began to get enough Gilmer County people down into Cobb County. So
Yeah, a lot of relatives. Amy and Auntie came down, Aunt Lily and Uncle Oliver, and Uncle Harrison, Grandpa and Grandma, and Aunt Alice, and Jack. So everybody.
Actually, it was a large migration by this point.
Yeah, but they did it gradually, you know, didn't all do it at once.
No, and economic conditions, I'm not clear, but they seem to have had a great deal to do with it. No, it was very difficult to make a living, scratch out a living.
Especially, you know, like when he made it on strictly on the farm, like we were talking about, Daddy, when he was making those trips, that was just produce. And,
yeah, the amount of cash money could barely buy the necessities.
No money, markets, no cotton or anything, just what the vegetables.
Right.
Corn, he always managed to sell some corn. Daddy was a good manager, even back then.
I tell you where I'm a little blank and blind that you could be more. You've enlightened me a lot about a section of the family. Would you happen to know if Aaron was related to the other Southerns like Oliver?
Yeah.
What was the relationship?
Let's see, Uncle Oliver Southern, that was his, was that his brother or his uncle? I don't know. I just so long ago.
Okay. So that we're dealing with your mother, Mary Louisa Southern's father, being Aaron Southern, and Mary Jane Osborne. The Osbornes, I think you told me also on that, her mother's name was a, did you say? No, his father's was Warren.
Yes, Warren Southern.
Right, Warren Southern. And
the
then,
Osbornes were prominent people for that part of the country.
did you say they were of English descent?
I heard that. I always heard that.
Well, when Grandma's...
What county did she come from? From Gilmer or from another county?
The Osbornes, they lived there, but they had a store, a general store over at Dyke. That was near that Methodist church over there. What was the name of it? Clare Creek, near Clare Creek Church.
Right.
And the Williams and the Osbornes and...
Which church? You went to Ebenezer. You didn't go to Clare Creek, though?
No, we were Baptist.
Right.
I joined that church when I was 11 years old.
What did Aaron Southern appear like? In size? Did he have a beard?
He was, no, he was always clean shaven, but he had long, snow white hair from the time I could remember. It was curly. But he might have had red hair when he was young because all the family, it ran in the family.
Oliver Southern is described as beardless, but with long hair covering his ears and tall.
Well, his grandpa wasn't tall.
He was short.
But he had long curly hair, but he never had any beard.
Okay. Are there any legends about him hiding gold the way there were about Oliver?
I didn't know about it.
Okay.
Grandma always grew sheep. She was just crazy about those sheep. She just petted them like
What
that.
do you have any idea of politics? like whether there was a split, whether the Southerns were Republican or not? And you remember that type of discussion?
No, I don't. I don't
Okay.
know. She was 11 years old. I didn't know anything
Yeah,
about
right,
politics. I
okay.
don't remember anything.
It was a hot issue up in that area where, say, Uncle Bob Evans
Oh,
had
yes.
fought with the Union
oh,
Army.
Uncle Bob and,
Yeah,
and Grandpa,
and,
they
yeah.
had the royal battle.
Which
battle
grandpa
royal.
now you speak of?
Grandpa Mulkey.
Yeah, right.
And they used to have...
Because the Mulkey older brothers had fought with the Confederate
Yeah.
Army, and Bob Evans had,
I don't know what the
had
evidence
fought with
is.
the
Yeah,
Union
I didn't
side, and
know
I
that.
did, and it's unclear. Oliver
do know.
Southern is believed to be a Union veteran of the Civil War too, and through a
Yeah, I
Union
guess he
veteran.
was. I don't know.
And
much
I didn't
about
know
that.
whether Aaron might
There
not
was
have known
always a
him.
little animosity there, so that must have been it.
That's why it isn't clear, but it may have been that some of these traditions were to go
Yeah.
Republican then on one
Now,
side.
I
and
know one
Democrat the
thing,
other.
Granny Southern, as Pauline says, the Heller, they were slave owners in South Carolina, so
Now,
they would have been Confederates.
Granny, let's
Warren Southern,
Warren Southern's,
that's Aaron's father-in-law.
yeah,
Because they had this old colored man that we wouldn't leave them, you know, like some of them did back then. And he came with them there in Carter Cave where they lived, and he's buried in Ebenezer Cemetery.
that he was a black man.
Yeah, he's the only one.
Now,
Buried.
this was Warren
Uncle Mose is all I
Southern's
know.
Uncle Mose. Granny, what was her proper name?
I never did know. Granny Southern's all I ever knew.
And what do you think her maiden